A very good morning and welcome. You're watching the Breakfast Rundown and I'm Therunee Karunaratne. Well, the election week has begun. We're just 3 days away from the 2024 general election. So, of course, most of our stories this morning will be focusing on the general election. But we have a few news from overseas as well. So do stay tuned with us right throughout. With that, we move on to our top story this morning. Campaign activities for the 2024 general election conclude at midnight today. Chairman of the National Election Commission, Therunee says that starting from midnight today to the 14th of November, which is the election day, election campaigning will be prohibited. That means a silent period will be in effect during this given time period. He also reminds the candidates of the election that the operations of campaign offices, which have been established on an electorate basis, must be concluded from midnight on the 12th of November, which is tomorrow. He says that from that point onwards, it is only offices of the party or independent group established on each electoral district that may remain operational. The chairman of the National Election Commission further notes that candidates may continue to maintain campaign offices in their residences until midnight of the 12th of November. However, he adds that no propaganda material may be displayed in those locations. In addition, he says that if there is a campaign office or a residence of a candidate located within a 500-meter radius from a polling station, no propaganda material should be displayed there either. Now, the National Election Commission has informed that party representatives to be stationed at vote counting centres should be appointed promptly. Chairman of the National Election Commission, Therunee says that each party may appoint 7 representatives to be stationed at vote counting centres. He reminds political parties not to wait until right until the election to do this. And according to the chairman of the commission, each political party should appoint 5 representatives for a normal vote counting centre and 2 other representatives for postal vote counting centres. He says that submitting the necessary documents on time and obtaining permission to enter the premises of those vote counting centres would make the entire procedure convenient for the political party as well. Now, the chairman of the National Election Commission says that each political party and independent group may appoint 2 representatives for each polling station on the 14th of November, which is the election day as well. Those representatives will be allowed to enter the premises of the polling station only if they possess a letter bearing the signature of an authorized official. Therefore, the chairman reminds all political parties and independent groups to have these relevant documents prepared on time. Now, the Disaster Management Centre, meanwhile, says that a special program is in place to face any disaster situation during the upcoming general election period. Its director, Pradeep Kodipilli, says that the Department of Meteorology, Department of Irrigation, National Building Research Organisation, Tri-Forces as well as the Sri Lanka Police have joined forces for this cause. He also says that a special centre to manage any disaster situation will be operational from tomorrow, that is the 12th of November onwards. Accordingly, this special centre will be operational for 5 days from the 12th of November to the 16th of November. The National Election Commission of Sri Lanka also says that the number of complaints related to the upcoming general election has risen to 2,580. Out of these complaints, 20 are related to acts of violence, and the Commission also says that 2,525 complaints are concerning the violation of election laws. Let's move on to some news apart from election-related news. Minister Vijitha Herath has instructed officials to initiate a special program to inform airline passengers whenever a Sri Lankan Airlines flight is delayed. The minister has instructed the establishment of a special coordination unit to oversee these activities as well. The minister gave these instructions while participating in an inspection tour at the Katunayake Bandaranaike International Airport to investigate complaints related to delays of Sri Lankan Airlines flights. The the employees had informed the minister about the decision taken by the previous administration in 2023 to reclaim the 50,000 rupee allowance that was previously given to them. The minister had then stated that the issue will be resolved promptly, adding that reclaiming those funds from the employees would be unethical. Accordingly, it was decided during this meeting that those funds, that 50,000 rupee allowance that was decided to be reclaimed from their salaries, will not, in fact, be reclaimed. Now, this year, as we all know, Sri Lanka applied for membership of BRICS. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs issued a statement regarding certain reports carried in local media saying that Sri Lanka's application for BRICS membership had been rejected. The Ministry of Foreign Affairs refuted these reports, calling them incorrect and misleading. The statement highlights that as approved by the Cabinet on the 7th of October 2024, Sri Lanka applied for membership in BRICS and the New Development Bank, also known as NDB. The statement adds that the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Vijay Therath, wrote to his counterparts in BRICS member countries informing of Sri Lanka's interest to join. President Anurukumara Dissanayake had also written to his Russian counterpart in this regard. Now, according to the statement released by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs at the BRICS Outreach Summit held in Kazan, Russia from the 22nd to the 24th of October 2024, Foreign Secretary Therunee Karunaratne, as a leader of the Sri Lanka delegation, had announced Sri Lanka's interest in joining the BRICS Summit. And at the summit, the BRICS member states also endorsed a new category of partner countries, whilst welcoming the considerable interest by countries of the global south in BRICS. The statement emphasized that pending requests for BRICS membership from many countries, including Sri Lanka, will be considered by BRICS member countries in due course. The statement further highlighted that Sri Lanka's intention to join the New Development Bank was welcomed by the President of the New Development Bank. It added that the Foreign Ministry, together with relevant government agencies, will review the procedures and timing in this regard. Now, the statement finally reiterated that there is no truth in the statement carried in certain local media that Sri Lanka's BRICS application has been rejected, and the ministry also expressed regret that the points made by the Minister of Foreign Affairs at the post-cabinet media conference on the 6th of November 2024 have been misrepresented. Let's move on to news overseas now. Russia and Ukraine traded the biggest drone attacks of the conflict so far. Russia and Ukraine have both launched record drone strikes on each other overnight, with Ukrainian attacks on Moscow temporarily shutting down 3 of the Russian capital's airports. Now, Russia has fired 145 drones at Ukraine overnight. This is according to Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, and this is more than in any single nighttime attack so far during that 2.5-year conflict so far. Russia also said it had downed 34 Ukrainian attack drones targeting Moscow on Sunday, the largest attempted attack on the capital since the start of the offensive in 2022, with Moscow regional governor calling the attack a massive one. Officials also said that Ukrainian strikes forced the temporary closure of 3 airports, wounding a 52-year-old woman, and set 2 homes on fire in the village of Stanovoye in the Moscow region of Russia. While the Ukrainian capital Kyiv is regularly targeted by massive drone and missile strikes, attacks on Moscow are much less frequent. Allow me to shift your attention to the Middle East now. Officials and rescuers say that Israeli strikes on North Lebanon and Gaza have killed dozens. The Lebanese Health Ministry said that at least 23 people, including 7 children, were killed on Sunday in Almath, near Byblos, to the north of the capital Beirut. In northern Gaza, the Civil Defense Agency said at least 30 people were killed in Israeli strikes on 2 houses in the besieged enclave. The first strike early on Sunday has hit a house in Jabalia, killing at least 25 people, including 13 children, and injuring more than 30, and this is according to the Defense Agency. And the Civil Defense Agency also says that another 5 people were killed in the Sabra neighborhood of the Gaza city, and some are still missing in the aftermath. The Israeli Defense Forces, or IDF, said Hezbollah had stored weapons at and were operating from the site it had targeted in Lebanon. It added, quote, numerous steps were taken to mitigate the risk of harm to the civilians, including the use of aerial surveillance and precise intelligence, unquote. The IDF also said it struck a site in Jabalia where terrorists were operating, and in the case of that strike as well, steps had been taken to mitigate civilian harm. The Lebanese Health Ministry said rescue workers were still searching the rubble after the strike in Almat. Now, Israel has escalated its campaign against Iran-backed Lebanese armed group Hezbollah. Its main focus had been southern Lebanon, aiming to weaken the group's capacity to launch rockets across the border. But in the recent weeks, operations have targeted cities and towns right throughout Lebanon. Well, that brings to a close today's edition of the Breakfast Rundown. I'm Therunee Karunaratne. I'll see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. on TV1. Until then, take care. Have a wonderful day ahead.